Hi all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted kitchen chats and also studio chats with some of the most interesting voices in the culinary South. I'm Stephanie Burt, a food and beverage writer based in Charleston, South Carolina, who travels with her fork to write for a variety of publications, from magazines you might have on your coffee table to the website you love to visit for your favorite recipes. And I'm inviting you to come behind the scenes with me to get to know the people who make this Southern culinary landscape so special. I'm always hungry for the next bite, thirsty for that next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. The Southern Fork is honored to be presented again this year by Townsend Automotive in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. For more than 48 years, the Townsend family of dealerships has been a locally owned company built on service and connection with its customers. And their experienced team can walk you through the car buying process side by side, from test drive to service oil changes and beyond. Townsend goes through a rigorous vetting process to make sure that every pre-owned vehicle adheres to quality standards. And right now, there's plenty on the lot to choose from in various makes and models. Visit townsendhonda.com for current inventory, or if you're in West Alabama, stop in. Townsend Automotive salutes local entrepreneurs, from restaurateurs to podcasters, and they welcome you to be part of a community that does the same. If you're doing your first visit to Red Orchids China Bistro in Charleston, South Carolina correctly, you'll walk in a guest and leave as a friend. Owners Kelly and Tony Chu, two first-generation Chinese Americans, fell in love sharing a single dream of opening a restaurant. They opened Red Orchids in 2003, taking on family-style Chinese-American cuisine in a city with a decidedly Southern palate. The restaurant has been voted Best Chinese Restaurant in Charleston City Paper's Best of Charleston for 19 years straight. And they're also the owners of Cirsea Craft Ice Cream, a premium by-the-pint ice cream company, which began when Kelly wanted to offer Charleston something more interesting than fortune cookies for dessert. They are committed to the power of hard work and perseverance as much as they are committed to having fun together. And they're often a presence at special culinary events in the Lowcountry. Welcome to the Southern Fork, you two.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
You are very welcome. I had to really train for a few years before I could especially have you, Tony, on the show. Wrangling you is like wrangling that cat you just gave catnip to.
Thank you.
No, anyway, I'm thrilled to be sitting with you today. I'm actually so grateful to be inside your home yet again. You've both been hospitable to me throughout the years, and I really want to talk about the community of Charleston. I'd like to start there because when I see a Charleston Wine and Food, a charity event, in some capacity, you two are often there. Why is it important when you are running really a family business and you're stretched thin? Why is it important to step away from the kitchen and do something like that?
First, that's a really interesting question. Is we both run this as a family restaurant because we want to share our community, how we're growing up with the limited lifestyles that we achieve. We're first generation Chinese American kids. Oftenly these foods are what just make us what we are and just go out to the world and search new things. It's my wife's business. and us. I just want to make sure she's happy. And if we can go on a date together and this is food shows to her, and then so be it. That would be the world of us.
So it's fun. It's fun to leave the kitchen. But you told a story, Kelly, about your mom, and I'd love for you to repeat it. You told a story last time we were together about your mom telling you when you started college. Will you tell that story?
Oh, yeah. I grew up in a very well, I guess, culinary trained family. My family, everyone in my family know how to cook. So I didn't grow up knowing how to cook, mostly enjoying good food and good drinks. So when I went to college and while going away, my mom said, it's important for you to learn how to cook to find your husband. I said, do I really have to learn how to cook to find a good husband? I guess. So I learned like 3 dishes. But I guess I was really lucky to find a husband who knows how to cook. So now it's kind of like it's there, but it's not, necessary anymore.
Yeah.
I really think that my father was, I think when we were growing up, my father always says to me, Tony, these are the dishes what make our family families, and these are the generations passes. We're in this new world. Not all of us would know how to do a cook, but the best thing you could do is that this is where our family heritage, we celebrate through this. We have comfort food with this. And this is one way or another, I'm sharing our legacy through you. And I hope that one day you meet the love of your life, you could do the same. And for me, it's like, oh, cool. I'm going to have a hot date. I'm going to cook all this the way how I'm doing it. But
so what his dad was telling him is, don't depend on a girl. And he was right.
I think that was more a neutral way he said it, but come to think of it, sure.
I think Red Orchid's food is comfort food for Charleston. And you've really operated through the pandemic and before on a really hefty takeout business as well as an in-restaurant business. And, I've always enjoyed the takeout and other people order, I've had takeout. I've had guys try to impress me on dates by putting your food on a plate. And I was like, I don't know where that's from.
I'm also available sometimes for the cook in the background. No worries.
But anyway, that's been years. But I mean, that was an impressive thing for me. And they were like, this is really good. So there is that comfort food thing. But Tony, getting back to that idea of you're sharing food that makes your family a family, do you still, after how many years in the business? How many?
I think we started at September 2002.
2003, my love.
Oh, wow.
19
you for
years.
the corrections. Yes.
19 years.
Yes.
Do you still have to explain your food? And if so, how do you do that with grace?
That's a very interesting question. That is a very general question. I think at the very beginning, we were so excited this is our family food and this is how they does it with a little bit locale issues. And then when people are coming through, they're more curious and I shortly realized that they're not only curious, they probably never had this before. Nowadays, when I address the issue, I think over 19 years in the restaurant, we can briefly assess the situation. Is it curiosity or is it stereotype? So based on those, you can say with grace, would positively say, this is how we're reflecting. I think the best way to say it is it starts with the family and we sit together. This is how we share. And that's where we'll go from there and see how well they respond to it. Not everybody on this earth is the same, but that's what's really great about it is that you get to know them as through this conversation.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Kelly?
I think Chinese restaurants across America is the biggest independently run franchises in this nation. I think everyone thinks that they can walk in and order a number 59. That's going to be a beef broccoli. Mm-hmm. And we have our challenges, but usually we just suggest the menu, earn so many regulars and build so many friendships throughout the years. That's just heartwarming in a way. We learn from the community and they learn from us. So I think it's a good relationship.
What is one dish or two dishes that you really feel are just hands down iconic, can't take them off the menu, staples that really say this is who we are?
Well, that's really tough because in Chinese cuisine itself, I think currently is recognized there's 7 distinctive style of cuisines. And what does that mean? It means like it's anywhere between like Polish food, Italian food, and English food. Mm-hmm. It's totally different. Mm-hmm. And how doing so is that, our family style is more, Shanghainese and some Cantonese in the background for it. That's going to be very, very tough because we have a very, very large menu.
But I think the dumpling is definitely one of the staples. I feel like we have
I was trying to lead you to the dumpling.
I think during pandemic, we had a little bit of time to do some calculations, and we have sold more than 1 million dumplings. Yeah, we hand make all of them, each and every one of them.
And that's why I was here last time, is to learn how to fold dumplings.
You did great, by the way.
Thanks. Once I figured out.
We're available next Tuesday. You can come in about 3 hours. Yes.
Wrap some dumplings.
Hey, I mean, I'm all about a stage. And I believe that does help muscle memory and helps you really clock it in. I will tell you, it did help once I realized that I was trying to do it backwards because I'm left-handed. Yeah, so.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely folds it differently.
Mm-hmm.
If I knew that, I would do it the other way. I think I was growing up, I think I'm left-handed, but I think my parents want to make me right-handed. Mm-hmm. And now I just begin to realize, like, it's so much easier to do everything left-handed. So next time we'll just do it left-handed.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So you have these iconic things. You're really trying to focus on this regional stuff. But, it is the Southern Fork. So I have to tell you that, I love some local ingredients. And I know you do too. So what are some of the things that really have shifted your cooking here from the beginning? Because 19 years is a long time, and there's got to be an evolution.
I think we started with, 19 years ago, we have very different food scene in Charleston, and we wanted to introduce a little bit more traditional dishes, and I think it scared the locals a little bit. So we stayed.
Yeah, my favorite one was back 19 years ago. I surprisingly was the head-on salt and pepper shrimp.
Yes,
and we have tails and all, and we had a movement, and since then we had to. So when you cook a salt and pepper shrimp, it's all about the shell. It's the way how high temperature, that searing properties and the Maillard reactions and the creamy of the yolk within the head and the way. So back then they said the creature's staring at us, however they want to say. And they took a very long time to single-handedly repeel all the skin off.
Where's the flavor?
Where's the flavors profiles all this. And since we evolved through that to making salt and pepper shrimp, skin off and all the which, but recently we are going back to the original ethnic flavor profile.
Yeah, I think the food scene is definitely changing, and now presenting something like that, it would be fantastic.
Well, and as a white Southerner, I remember crunching, going like, okay, are we gonna crunch this shell? And I mean, like, I'm here for it. I'm gonna do it. But like the first time it happened, I was like, we're doing this, right? I'm not gonna be left out. This is what we're doing. So I think it's coming at it from a place of curiosity instead of a place of judgment, and be like, I'm at your house. I'm not gonna say, you just served me something at your house that is looking at me. I'm gonna be like, wow, that looks great.
I think that's why sometimes we are on our days off. We have other restaurateur friends, and restaurants and friends will cook together, and they're really hands-on. As much of with my polarized view, I feel when their exposure, I'm finally able to cook some food and share some food that is ethnic region for my background. It's not just so much when people say it's authenticity. I think it's further than that. It's about the way how to balance the salt, the way how it's done, and the way how this the flavor profile. And I'm grateful I can share that. And that's why, like the other day, we're doing the pan-fried gyoza for that region, because there's 50 different ways to make it. And that day where we're just exposed to one, I'm just like, oh, this is cool. But in the restaurant, we're able to finally, after 19, 20 years, we actually says, here's some menus. Like, for example, celery sauteed pork. I know it's not a funny name. You don't have to have a funny name. Generally, the funny names is translated because it's a marketing ploy in back in the old days, and just to get people attention. But truly, it's a sauteed celery pork, southern style, nice and clean. And that's what we can approach, and we can siphon through. Our food in the restaurants, predominantly ethnic Chinese food. There are some Chinese American food in there. And so this allows you to have people who says, I'm comfortable with this. And today I have some curiosity. We can try something more. But normal, this is what we have.
And then this wasn't enough. You had to start another company. So please tell me what inspires you about ice cream.
I was bored. No.
She was bored.
One job as a restaurateur. That's not so much. No, just kidding. About like maybe 6, 7 years ago, I started making ice cream in Red Orchids because, fortune cookie is the standard dessert and no one else really had anything. So I started, I can make ice cream, and then started making the black sesame and jasmine tea and
one of my favorites,
lavender. And then I added bacon to coffee ice cream. So it was just fun. I guess it's a creative outlet as well. And they just took off from there, which I'm very lucky to say so.
Yeah. So you went to Italy for the gelato. Tell me what that was.
It was a World Tour Gelato competition, which we were very, very fortunate to be part of. Competed in New York and represented U.S. to compete in Italy. And I learned so much competing with top chef in the world with gelato artisans that it was just a eye-opening experience.
So your ice cream is actually gelato.
Well, gelato is pretty much ice cream in Italian.
Just has a little less.
It's denser,
Right.
and it has less fat, butter fat. So the way Circe's products are usually denser than a standard ice cream, and depending on the flavor, we want to keep it lower than the standard ice cream as well.
Now, you made a particular flavor for opening night of Charleston Wine and Food this year, and I would love to just literally dip into that and get a scoop of it to talk about building that flavor. First, can you tell us what it was?
I made a mustard ice cream, and we served with thin pieces of pretzel.
Okay. So why and how, and did you use hot mustard? I mean, people have a lot of mustard questions, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, we have a lot of portfolio flavors, and I always love having fun making different flavors. I think that's the one reason we started Cirsea. And, I always loved combining savory, sweet. And I don't know, I was just sitting there and said, I want to make mustard ice cream. I think my team all looked up at me and said, oh my gosh, she's crazy. And I just had it in my mind how it should taste before I even made it. I made a combination of different mustard, and I made a caramel with a mustard. So we just rolled it in.
So you had a lot of sugar in there still. So it's sweet and hot because caramel. And did you use a dry mustard or did you use prepared mustard?
Combination of.
Okay. We're not going to get all the recipe, but I'm just fascinated by this because I usually reserve the month of August to try to write at least one ice cream feature a year. It's like thing that I love. And so I know a lot about the Philly style and, the cooking of the custard and stuff. So I was just fascinated by that ice cream.
I think that one of the reasons we want to show some fun showmanship during that food and wine scene is here's something that we can, once in a while, we can do a theoretical dessert. And theoretical desserts is generally just challenging your either your skills and your prowess, your exposure, how to balance something that is borderline savory or something that is what they call an outlier. So this one is a condiment. Generally, it's a savory condiment. And I thought that would be really fun if we can pull that from a fictional into reality. And that's what we, more to her ways, because when she told me that, I thought she lost her right mind. But when she finally made one, and I was like, thank you for breaking the barrier. And I truly appreciate. And that's how we made that. It was really fun.
Thanks.
You're awesome.
So, I interview a lot of people in this job, both in the podcast and for the editorial that I do. And have been fascinated by this for a while, and that is that you two are a couple and you are running a restaurant together and you spend time on your days off together. And you spend time apart too, but I see you together a lot. And you seem to have fun. I wanted to know, because there's a lot of people that are listening that cook together, even if they're not professionally cooking together, they're cooking together. How does food work as a communication in your relationship? That might be a little too much.
What position you talking about? Giggles.
I think food is definitely a love language for both of us. I think it's definitely something that we have fun doing together and a way of showing appreciation toward each other.
I think in relations and in all encompasses is, and again, this is probably just very a generalization. A relationship to me, as far as I learn, and I generally when I go to a restaurant at work, and I always ask for the people who get married the longest, and I say, what's the secret? And they always tell me a bunch of interesting empirical data. So what I found out what really works for us is that we have to learn new things together as we do day-to-day aspects and all that everything. We do this. It's not about her language of right or my language of right. It's about our language of right. And generally with that kind of moment together, you have to continue to practice through something that the angle it is, but you don't know how to get there. And that's the fun part of it. And we would do that in everything we do.
We do need to clarify that one chef, one kitchen. We don't cook together. We take turns to cook.
She says, I feel like the other day I was prepping something really wonderful, like Brazilian. What's that fish that you love so much? Was the moqueca de peixe. When I was learning about new cuisine, in the middle of prepping, I was so ready. And then a phone call, my wife, and says, I feel like eating cheeseburgers. And I was like, and there was an internal screaming of conniption. And then I realized it's not about my perfect dish for her. It's about our dish. So put that thing aside, make a burger, a smash burger. And then she was there about 5 minutes later, and we enjoyed a great meal.
I did not know he was cooking already, surprise. By the way.
Phantom the Opera. Everybody's just flying with missing strings. You got it.
She comes great. In. Phantom of the Opera symphony is playing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's once again TMI. Okay. But I do have to ask you, we were talking off mic about, just the struggles of being out of the pandemic as a restaurant. That we're still in it, but we're out of it. We're in this new third place. And we all knew we were getting to that in a restaurant world. I'm interested in what is that starlight, that pinpoint of light in the future that's percolating there. I've watched so many people decide this is just, I'm done. And I respect that as much as I respect continuing on. So what's making you hungry? What's making you get up and still deal with these challenges and learn these things that you have to do now?
I think we really love what we do. and we love the environment. We love our community. It really, going in every day, it's kind of like, this is our place, you know, and having a regular comes in, so many that we know name and stuff. It's just like, oh, our friends are coming to our house. I think it's a comforting thing to us. Also, we see that, again, as we said earlier, the food scene is changing. So we feel challenged of being able to expand our menu or our culinary experiences to something more ethnic, more authentic, more of our upbringing. So I think that's really exciting for us to be able to introduce new things to the menu and experiment with, you know, with the community.
Yeah, I think that what it is at the beginning was always want to have a business or day-to-day activity with Kelly, my best friend. And we wake up together, we have this coffee together. And so the restaurant is more like our kitchen. So, you know, instead of you walk into the hallway, you just drive to your kitchen. And what the great thing is, I absolutely wonderfully appreciate the local people. I think everybody has a story, and I really like stories. So it's like when I was a kid, my uncle would come back from the travels and say, telling me all the stories. But today, we have about 3,000, 5,000 regulars, and comes in. All of them has actual, real, 100% stories. Absolutely fascinated. And that's why what it keeps us to day, what is our drive for. More so through this pandemic is a lot of people in the back passes, would it bounce back? Would it be? How would it be? Well, the reality is that we are really in the middle of it. This is the new change. And this is how the new things we learn. And I always want to do something very consistent. Every day is try to try something. But as we walk in, there's always a story. There will be great stories, and there is great stories. And then we just go in together and challenges. And that's what it goes with us. As what we see the next year or so or two, it's just adaptations, because we're seeing some recession notions. And so we have to go with that together. It's like cyclical things.
Yeah. You've been in the business long enough that you see. These next two are quick fire. And so I want to know from each of you, what's one aspect of your natural personality that fits with your jobs?
I'm very high efficiency and slightly perfectionist. So I'm working on getting more flexible as we go, but I just like to have everything done right the first time and perfectly. So,
no big deal.
It's a wow factor to me. Interviews done, I guess that's what's all the epitome of things. Now, I think for me is more insightfulness. I like things done as most empirical way as possible, and consistency. And what I love about Kelly is about the way how she strives things, how effective things are done. And I like to try new things. And I'd like to have that in our staff and our friend. And for me to bring that into the restaurant, I think is insightfulness and do things as most empirical process possible. Because we've been doing this for about 19 some years. It's not the first million dumplings we've done. It's the second million. We have to do it consistently simple. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thing keeping you up at night?
I think sometimes it's just the maintenance of the restaurant sometimes, and the labor issues. Right now is, a routine day is a good day. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. If we can't have a routine day, it's
simple
a good day.
Drink a cup of coffee, say hi, talk to congregate some kids, and all. I think is that our restaurant, our notion of this particular state of our restaurant, when we got it, it's already had 20, 30 years above that
in the kitchen.
Yeah. So this is a granddaddy of a restaurant. So I'm thinking is that how many more Band-Aids have in my pocket to put that thing on the wall or something?
It's a surprise every day. There's something always happening. Mm-hmm. So I think it's
labor. I think recurrently the seasonal episode.
Yeah.
But then again, everybody's going through, and then my thing is not about finding people. It's about finding
the right people.
The right people allow us to maintain our routine of the day.
Yeah. Well, I reserved something for Southern Fork guests, and it is a magic picnic basket. I am a little frightened to know how many things you are going to try to put into it, because you two are massive eaters, as well
I love
as
that
cooks.
word.
I mean, you are. You're just enthusiastic. But I would love to bring you some of your favorite things. I don't believe in the death penalty. So instead of discussing a death row meal, I want to bring some things that have brought you life. Another taste of something that you would just love one more taste of, so I can time travel, I can source for you, and I can cook a little bit. So because I don't have the next 45 minutes, I want y'all to build a picnic basket together. So tell me each some of the things that would go in there. And Tony, you can start with wine.
That's really tough. You probably need 4 baskets and 3 time machines. and the national debts pay off because we never really do this. I do have some level of cravings, and it is no bounds. Oftenly, because we have such a limited resources here, one of the things that I truly enjoy, and I wish I have a time machine or to travel. There's a little shop in New York, and it's called... there's 2 shops, but you have to be careful with this one.
The
Real. I think it's called the Real Kung Fu dumplings and noodle shop. So there's soup dumplings, the way how they make it. The agar in there is not from pig feet. It is really, really awesome. And that's something I would crave for more than anything.
I love fried pork chop. It's a thing. I think my friends make fun of me. I'm in a hunt for the best fried pork chop.
Have you had Bertha's?
I have not.
Oh, you better eat it up.
Yeah.
That's the best fried pork chop I've ever had.
Okay. I'm going to try that next.
Professional opinion right
Absolutely.
here. So,
my next
heads
on the
up.
list.
Okay. So those 2 are great. Side dishes, are we just going meat and carbs here?
Well, right now the side dishes would be there's a rice noodles called Ho Fan, and it's a really locally in the southern part of China.
The Cantonese.
The way how this cooked, a lot of times is very, very greasy, but ideally is less grease is best. And last time I found only 2 places I really enjoyed. One is was it Mott 58 in Vegas?
Mott 32.
Great. There's a number. Bingo. That's wonderful. I got the first Mott correctly. And
So I'm just going to put a number out there and you can correct it.
Bingo. Yeah, it's correction time. There are other things like for...
the other one is the ping pong in Chinatown, New York.
Oh, that one would nearly froze to death because they realized... But
it's really good.
Nip that out from the conversation. Yeah.
We both absolutely love Shanghai Yu Garden, which is in Flushing, New York. It is probably the most authentic Shanghainese... I guess the Shanghainese dim sum.
Outside of Shanghai, yeah.
Outside of Shanghai. It is very, very authentic. Good. It brought tears to me. Well, the first time I had it, it was home. They had the best soup dumplings also, and then they had the meat pie.
So inside, this is interesting. It's a baked multi-layer, almost like it's almost like a multi-layer like croissant, but it's not. It's airspace, so it's multi-layer, waferly thin, and the juicy meat in the middle. I will make you one. That's the only way.
I will say yes to that.
It's so good.
About 3 hours, I'll make you one. This is how much I want to make one.
But that's the best.
Can't find them around.
Best.
And lastly I think to me is the matcha crepe cake. It's stupid good in Rockville. It is. A lot of people like to use green tea powder to mix it, but this is truly Japanese matcha. There's a really a mouthfeel of difference. You can taste it. And this multi-layer, fresh whipped cream, super thin, and just eat it. And you can see this fat Chinese guy named Tony rolling his eyes on the side of the curb. Some sort of overdose. But that's how much indifference goodness you can want to get.
And what bakery is that? Yeah. Do you remember?
We have to fly there. Well, you do have a machine. That's going to be great.
I think it's called Kyo matcha.
Kia matcha.
in Rockville,
Wonderful.
Maryland. It's fantastic.
And I'm going to dip into your own wine cellar for your wines, okay?
Done.
That's good. Well, if people want to learn more about Kelly and Tony and Red Orchids and Cirsea, you can go to thesouthernfork.com. But if you like what you hear, we obviously like food and drink. We like to spend time across the table together. And there are more than 275 episodes in the archives for you. The easiest way to make sure that they come to your podcast app is just to subscribe. Make one less thing that you have to do. So thank you so much for spending time with me today on your day off.
Thank you. Thanks for putting up with me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hello and welcome to Talking with My Mouth Full. I am about to embark on yet another road trip in support of the Southern Fork podcast. And while on the road, I'm going to make sure that I take a time as I drive back through Atlanta to go to the Buford Highway Farmers Market. It's one of the best international grocery stores that I've been to in my limited experience. And I really love the culinary adventure of an international grocery store. If you're like me, if you're a Southerner like me, many of your grocery store experiences have been just run-of-the-mill box stores. But international grocery stores are really wonderful teachers for me. And they are hiding in plain sight. They have really helped improve my cooking throughout the years. And often I visit places like Buford Highway Farmers Market for my bulk spices, which I can't do without. I don't want y'all to really see my spice and salt and seasoning herb cabinet. It's pretty exploded at this point. But I seriously just can't stop purchasing really good spice mixes and really good whole spices to grind with my coffee grinder that I actually keep just for whole spices. The first time I went to Buford Highway Farmers Market, I walked around the entire store, getting a feel, learning about ingredients, really treating it as like an experience, not a chore. And that's really what international grocery stores can provide a person like me. It can teach me about the joys of cooking and about the joys of learning something new in the kitchen. Thanks so much for listening, and I will talk with you next time.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations, but in the meantime, I have one question. Are you gonna eat all that?